and you're listening to my daddy's podcast, The Morgan You Know.
Love the show, and you should check out my buddy Rod Morgan's pod, The Morgan You Know, as I'm confident he's primed to make some waves on the scene.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Morgan You Know podcast, a conversation show about whatever sports happen to be going on at the moment. Wrestling always, and occasionally some entertainment and pop culture. Thank you for listening to us on whatever podcast platform you are choosing to do so. Make sure you give us a like or a subscribe there. Hello, you can see me waving. We're going to be running a 4 corners offense on you here live on Facebook and Twitch and YouTube here this evening, the Wednesday before the main NCAA tournament kicks off. Joining me as always, the executive producer of this podcast, the co-host of this podcast, the brains of the operation, this podcast #1 Bears fan. And I know that makes somebody else who's going to be joined on this podcast a little bit later angry to hear. He's our guy, Jimmy Jamriska. Jimmy, hello.
Well, that's why I'm wearing a Colts hat today, because there's rumors of Russell Wilson may be coming to the Colts. What?
Let's go. I hadn't even heard that. I'm excited. I got a smile out of me. Anybody other than Danny Dimes, I'm game for. Let's go. Joining us, as always, our voice of the fan. He's been a fan for many, many, many decades. He's our old man, but we love his crotchety ways. He's Chris King. Chris, hello.
What is up, fellas? It's been a big week for sports. It's not basketball. Crazy.
We're actually going to touch on a couple of those. To help us is our handicapper, a man who's been off for a couple of weeks. We gave him some R&R after grinding out the football season, but he is a college basketball fanatic. So back to help us talk about a little bit of the tournament is our guy, Josh Williams. Josh, hello. Welcome back.
What's up, boys? Had to unmute myself. It's been a little while here. College basketball is the greatest. The best 4 days of the year coming up here. So let's go.
We will get into that shortly. But as Chris mentioned, lots of other sports happening around the globe and lots happening here in the United States. I'm not sure why I went global there. We're not really a big global podcast. I'm not sure we're getting many listeners over in Lithuania, but it's been a while since I checked the map. Jimmy, how are we doing in Eastern Europe?
Not as many as you think, Rod. Not as many as you think.
All right, I kind of figured.
I got some fans up. I got some fans over in Croatia, Rod. So
I guess that's right.
We can consider ourselves global.
Maybe we should start spanning out, Chris. Like, what's the big sport of Croatia? Like, if we started covering one sport more, could we get more listeners in Croatia?
I mean, they have like a vegetable chopping over there. They have grocery bagging over there.
Okay,
they got some of those grocery wars going on.
Okay. Nice. I bagged groceries at one time or another. We could get into a grocery bagging episode, but let's avoid that for now. I want to give a shout out to the Jupiter Lynx. One Tiger Woods, his very own team in the Tiger Golf League. They're a bit of the bad news Bears. They were the 4 seed coming into the playoffs. They had to come from behind many games to win this year. They don't have the top flight players on their team, but they made it to the championship round to take on the LA Galaxy, who actually have some of the top flight players on their team, namely Colin Morikawa, Justin Rose, some of the other top ranked guys in the world. But TGL members continue winning PGA Tour events. So, Jimmy, you can laugh at it all you want, but I think TGL is here to stay for a little bit, and I think it warms these guys up. So shout out to TGL. Shout out to our guy, Matt Roberts. I know he'll be watching the championship next week. Speaking of championships, if you're watching live right now, you see my name is Rod Baseball with 3 question marks because I have gravitated away from the old 4-seam fastball game recently. But the World Baseball Classic brought me back some pretty exciting games over the last couple of weeks. I first launched the World Baseball Classic, Jimmy. It wasn't much of anything. Kind of cool to see how far it's come this year, at least. Let's start there.
Well, the fan outpour has been amazing. You can really see everyone kind of descending on Houston and just watching these awesome games together. It was great. Even USA had all of its top players there. Will that ever happen again? We'll see. But it was kind of cool to see everyone for a week or so, just watching some baseball. It was great.
Yeah, Chris, why do you think all the good players finally showed up this year? And like that's never been the case in the past. Why do you think it was this year? Any thoughts?
I mean, I can speak to Venezuela's case, right? I mean, their country is in a lot of turmoil. So the fact that they could have been just like, hey, let's bring some hope, some lightness, something to cheer about. Like, I think there's a lot of that going on around the world. So I thought you see a lot of countries putting their support behind their team in this, just like we saw during the Olympics, right? So that's still fresh on everybody's mind. Go into the baseball classic. Let's beat up on the Americans and the Koreans and the Japanese and the Dominicans, and let's win this thing. That's what a lot of these countries did. Canada played better than we thought. Italy played better than we thought. So it was a lot of fun.
Listen, jingoism, I'll be honest, that's what brought me back into it, right? Seeing the USA across their chest is what made me want to root for the guys. So, Williams, let me go to your neck of the woods here. Was there a lot of action on the WBC? Did the books get a lot of plays on baseball because of that? How'd it go?
Yeah, I think it was well received. You could have took Venezuela 18-1 before the tournament started. That was a big dog that cash there. So I'm sure anybody who had a Venezuela ticket was pretty happy with that outcome there. I got I don't know if you guys saw the Venezuela versus Japan game, but like when they hit the home run and Acuna like wanted to go tackle the first base ump, like Venezuela almost like outdid the Dominicans with like backflips and bat flips after home runs. I mean, it reminded me of remember the Titans when they were playing the super cocky team and it's the sideline and everyone's all bunch of the flair that was going on that sideline. That's what reminded me of the Venezuelans hitting home runs.
Well, listen, we can't say too much because my guy Bryce Harper, Jimmy, hit one of the biggest home runs possibly in the history of United States baseball there, and then he tossed that bat aside, and he was preening, and he was doing the whole thing, running around the bases, and it looked pretty good there at the bottom of the eighth anyway, didn't it, Jim?
Bryce Harper's had a tough offseason when your general manager says you're not elite anymore and really kind of talking you down. It was great to see that he hit that home run. Two things. If you don't get a guy on second base, which the USA didn't, it's very hard to win, besides that home run, obviously. And Aaron Judge doing Aaron Judge things, coming up a couple times in big moments, and I don't know if he took the bat off his shoulder, one of the at-bats.
Chris, I know that you tell me all the time that the game of baseball has changed and that, excuse me, they play a different sport now, but it seems to me the age old, if you're a relief pitcher and you come in the top of the ninth and you walk the leadoff batter, that's just not ever going to end well. I mean, I admit that I don't watch as much baseball anymore, but once I saw that happen, I was like, this is not good for the United States.
Yeah, no, that's the quicksand effect. Once something goes bad, it just keeps on piling on, and you don't want to start with a walk in the ninth inning. And Judge has had a lot of grief coming his way for being kind of anti-clutch in big moments, and I think this last game is proof of that.
Yeah, they went real quietly in the ninth in the bottom there, Mr. Williams. They got everybody fired up in the bottom of the eighth, and then they held them to just one run there in the ninth when it looked like the floodgates were absolutely opened, and then they just kind of went quietly into the ninth there. Were you disappointed in the finale, of course?
Yeah, that was a little disappointing. And getting back to Bryce Harper, you said running around the bases. I would say a slow jog around the bases. There could be some reprimand for that in the regular season. It took like 45 seconds for him to get to home plate. So we'll see how that goes.
All right, the World Baseball Classic is over and done with. Congratulations to Venezuela. One of our nation's college teams will be cutting down the nets to Jennifer Hudson singing the old Luther Vandross staple, this one shining moment. Excuse me, I almost called it this shining moment. One shining moment. The tournament is upon us. The bracket is out. I have not looked at the bracket very much. I don't know why. I'm not a big college basketball guy anymore, but Williams, I know you have. Tell us your first thoughts of the bracket when it came out Sunday night.
Well, I immediately started cursing the committee because in the East, or no, in the South, my biggest gripe is that they put Florida and Vandy in the top half of the bracket with each other. Vandy was already underseeded, but to me, you cannot put a team in the same conference. You shouldn't have to face them until the Elite Eight. And now these guys would match up in the Sweet 16. We just saw that. It would be something different if these teams only played once, like back in December or something. We just saw it in the SEC semifinal game. So that is super disappointing. And they didn't need to do that. There's 3 SEC teams in the South. There is 0 in the East. The committee could have easily switched out Vandy and St. John's, and because there's 0 Big East teams in the South. So once again, the committee is lazy at their job.
All right. Well, in the process of that, you mentioned St. John's there. One thing I've heard is a lot of people are saying St. John's might be a little underseeded. The vampire Rick Pitino, what say you about the Johnnies?
So they are underseeded, but this is where you have to, if you're playing in a big pool here, you have to try to get leverage off of your opponents, and you have to jump on recency bias. I'm going to break down the 5-12 matchups here, and you have to get comfortable being uncomfortable. 3 of the last 4 years, multiple 12 seeds have upset 5 seeds, but according to Evan Maya rankings, High Point only has a 6% chance for an outright win because of how well Boyd and Blackwell take care of the ball for Wisconsin. High Point likes to cause turnovers. You're not going to do that against Wisconsin. So we move on to the next one. McNeese State, known for their pressure defense, only a 9% chance to win that game versus Vandy. Again, because Tyler Tanner and all his hair, along with Duke Miles, that backcourt for the Commodores, they don't turn the ball over, just like Wisconsin. We move on to the other 12-5 upset that everyone wants to pick. Akron over Texas Tech. That has a 19% chance of happening. I'm not falling for that, though. I'm not falling for it because everyone wants to pick against Texas Tech because they don't have JT Toppin anymore. He's one of the 5 best players in college basketball this year. I say go ahead at your own peril because my motto, Rod, is in Grant McCasland we trust, kind of like Kyle Shanahan. Grant McCasland is my favorite coach in all of college basketball. Love his passion. Love his grit. He gets the most out of his teams for Texas Tech. That leaves the last 12-5 matchup that you were talking about, St. John's and who we got? St. John's and Northern Iowa.
Northern Iowa.
Okay. It seems to me that like 98% of the field will be riding the Johnnies in the Red Storm of St. John's, not to only win this game, but then beat Kansas and then possibly even to beat Duke in the Sweet 16. But CBS Metrics projects Northern Iowa to pull off this upset 35% of the time versus St. John's. That's almost more than double the percentage of any other of the 12 seeds. And let me tell you why. St. John's just put on a show on Saturday night, blasting UConn by 20 in the Big East Championship at Madison Square Garden. The whole nation is now infatuated by recency bias in what they just saw. But St. John's has a negative rebounding margin in neutral site games this year. They have trouble shooting from distance. And how about this? This is where the committee let St. John's down. They won the Big East regular season. They won the Big East tourney. Great. What's your reward? Are we going to get you a top 4 seed in a region where you're protected from traveling? Nope. How about we give you a 5 seed while UConn got a 2 seed, by the way, and we send you all the way out to San Diego to play a 4:30 body clock time, shout out Chris, versus a team from the Valley that plays an extremely slow tempo that will lull you to sleep and has an outstanding D to go with that. This is too good of a matchup for Northern Iowa, and since Tristan Smith came back to the lineup on February 8th, Northern Iowa is 4th in effective field goal percentage. The Panthers play at the 2nd slowest tempo in the country. That's what you want when you pick a big upset. They don't foul. They pack it in on defense. This is exactly what you want to do versus the Johnnies. Also, St. John's has been incredibly lucky on their 3-point defense over the last 6 weeks. Teams are only shooting 27% against them from deep in that span. Northern Iowa, since February 25th, is a top 15 3-point shooting team in the country, and that span at over 42.5%. What does that scream to you? To me, it screams massive letdown spot. And if the field is going to be on the Johnnies at a clip of over 95%, I will take the leverage and game theory play of Northern Iowa to advance in my bracket as the only 12 to pull off the upset over the 5.
Nice. You know, Williams, I can give you one Northern Iowa thought here. There's one other person prominent in the world of basketball that will not be surprised if this upset happens, and that is Philadelphia 76ers coach and Northern Iowa alumni, Nick Nurse. He will be not surprised at all that this goes the way of Northern Iowa. You heard it there. Williams told you about an upset. One thing I love about the tournament, Williams, is that, like, you will see a team that maybe doesn't have a great regular season record play up to their competition. And then another thing we always see in the NCAA tournament is a team that comes in with a great record will play a little bit down to their competition. Tell us who we should be looking for on both ends of those spectrum.
Yeah, there's an opponent strength adjustment on Evan Miyakawa, his rankings. The higher up on the scale, the better. That means they're playing well versus tough competition. And teams that fit that bill, all 4 1 seeds, shocker, Captain Obvious checking in here. Teams with high ceilings and low floors are Wisconsin, Illinois, Nebraska, Michigan State, TCU, and Texas Tech. TCU stands out here. They beat Florida this year, but also lost to New Orleans. I mean, they have some awesome wins, but some terrible losses. And then you got some high floor, low ceiling teams, Louisville, Kentucky, Alabama, because of their terrible defense. And they just had a guy, their second best player, get arrested for 2 pounds of weed. But he wasn't selling. He wasn't selling, Rod. He was not selling. Okay, we move on. And then teams that have Cinderella upside, 1 bid leagues with teams that play their best versus their toughest competition. How about Kennesaw State? How about Hofstra, a team that is playing Alabama? And then Miami of Ohio, if they get past this game tonight, one of the best stories in college basketball, probably the best story in college basketball. And then you have Troy along with that. So those are the teams playing up and down to their competition this year.
I like Troy. It's going to be a big year for the Odyssey. Christopher Nolan's movie's getting released this summer. Matt Damon's in it, right? Going to be a lot of cool stuff happening there. I'm on Troy. I like that. Chris, let's go to you, the voice of the fan, our old man. I know you watch quite a bit of college basketball too. You're disappointed that the Hoosiers are not good. Mr. Williams, I've decided to let you off the hook about the fact that you told us all we should be watching out for Darren DeVries in his first year as IU coach. He suffered the same fate as many IU coaches recently.
It started out well.
Unable to make the tournament because IU is a football school, but we'll leave that aside. Chris, who else should we be looking out for in this tournament?
So I do think a lot of it's going to be chalk. I do think there's a team out of the SEC that gets overlooked a little bit, and that's Arkansas. I think that's a team. They're a 4 seed. I think they play up to their competition a little bit, kind of like what Williams was saying. I would look out for them. They could be if they get past Arizona, they could make a real significant push.
Anybody but Arkansas. That's basically one thing that I'm going into this tournament with, right? It used to be anybody but Kentucky. It used to be anybody but Memphis. It used to be anybody but Massachusetts. Jimmy,
anybody but Purdue.
Here? Do you see a theme here for the anybody buts that I usually go with?
Is there a certain coach that you're not a huge fan of?
Yeah, I to be honest, shout out to Cowboy Derek. We all know how much I love Cowboy Derek, and he's apparently an Arkansas Razorbacks fan. But I can't believe that I haven't given Derek more guff for the fact that now he has to be on the Calipari train, because I guarantee Derek had a lot of things to say about Calipari at one point, but now that Calipari's his guy, he's probably all in.
Well, yeah, Calipari doesn't like all this, like people moving out and paying money and everything. He likes to go old school, pay him under the table.
When only he could do it.
That's when he did a lot better. Williams, I saw you putting your finger up there. You're being polite since you've been off for a little while. What do you got for us?
Yeah, this is also a crime that the committee put Wisconsin and Arkansas in the same little pod that they would be playing in a second round matchup. These are 2 of the hottest teams right now. And I'll tell you what, Darius Acuff is skyrocketing up this draft board for the NBA. But I will tell you this, Nick Boyd will think that he is the best player on the court if Wisconsin and Arkansas match up. Nick Boyd and John Blackwell, the backcourt for Wisconsin, has been absolutely on fire lately. And Nick Boyd, if you remember back 3 years ago, he was on that Florida Atlantic team that went to the Final Four, and he will not back down from Arkansas. The thing, and Arkansas likes to try to create turnovers. You can't create turnovers against Wisconsin. That is going to be an absolutely hell of a game. You have to watch that game if that happens. Wisconsin versus Arkansas in the second round.
Undersized guard, count me out. Again, Derek, sorry, buddy. Nothing personal, but count me out. All right, we just saw the market for Trae Young in the NBA. We just saw the market for Ja Morant in the NBA. Count me out on an undersized guard.
No way, dude. Right? No way. I'm stepping in here. Darius Acuff is going to be outstanding in the NBA. He's cerebral like Chris Paul, and he's got Stephon Marbury skills. This dude is going to be – Rod, he could be the number 1 pick in the draft. He's that good.
Okay, I know the NBA and you know college basketball. We'll see who ends up being right on this one. I'm out on Darius Acuff.
He could be a better pro than Debanza. Debanza tries to do too much, and he's got slow reaction skills.
You know what works in the NBA? 6'8" wings who are athletic and can shoot. Give me Debanza all day long. I don't want to have to work around the guy who's an undersized guard. Sorry,
he's going to be awesome.
I'm sorry.
Debanza's going to be awesome.
Right.
But there's
Maybe
flaws.
you're right, Jimmy. Mark it down. Mark it down. Williams versus I. The NBA brain versus the college brain. Who's going to be right?
Oh, I love this because you are right, Rod. There's no question. But Williams knows things too, so that scares me a little bit. You're still right, but Williams scares me.
Yeah,
get on Darius Acuff to go top 3 though, for sure. He's going to go top 3.
I don't doubt that
top
the guy's
3
gonna get drafted. I don't doubt that the guy's going to get drafted high, and I don't doubt that a bunch of fan bases are going to be all excited that he's coming in. But Scoot Henderson, anybody remember Scoot Henderson? People were excited that he was coming into Portland. Anybody remember the guy for how about the guy for Philadelphia when Boston traded out of the number 1 pick, and everybody's like, how could they do that? Oh no, not the number 1 pick doesn't work out every time. So you can go ahead and have Williams all you want.
Williams, you think Peterson's going to go 4, or you think Boozer's going to go 4?
One of those is going to drop. Yeah.
Well, thank you, but which one?
Yeah.
Come on, man! You're making all these predictions.
He doesn't want to get pinned down on random stuff, Jimmy. He only wants to get pinned down on the stuff that he's done a bunch of research on. He's not a takester like the rest of us. Williams
going top 3. Well, then who's 4th? Who's 4th?
I think Peterson is a better scorer. Obviously, he's got more upside than Boozer. It depends on who's picking. If they want floor, you're going to take Boozer. Also, you got to remember Caleb Wilson in there too. Caleb Wilson could be top 4. He could push Boozer out. So
wait, if they want floor, so that hurts him. Caleb Wilson's hurt right now, and you can have Darren Peterson DNP. You can have Darren Peterson DNP. I'm going to let some other coach go ahead and draft him and have that be their problem. I'm going to let some other coach draft Darius Acuff and let that be their problem. I'm going to get my hands on the second generation NBA guy who grew up around it, who understands a little bit of what's going on there, or I'm going to get a hold of the 6'8" wing who's basically been crafted to be an NBA superstar since he was 14 years old. That's what I'm going to do. But again, that's an NBA brain. Williams is here to talk about the college game. Williams, I saw you had a stat here about something that hasn't occurred since 1986 when Chris actually had a little bit of hair. No, Chris never had hair. I'm lying on that. But he was a lot younger in 1986. Yeah, what's that?
Yeah, and 100% Darius Acuff is going to have a better career than Carlos Boozer or Cameron
you
Boozer.
don't get the final word. You don't get the final word. You're a guest brought in here to talk about college basketball. This is the Morgan you know. I get the final word.
I'm telling you, you're way too low on Darius Acuff. Okay, 1986, the last time that all the 4 2 seeds were favored by 20 points. That has happened this year. So that just tells you the NIL is taking money from the little guy. These are some of the worst 15, 14, 13 seeds, and obviously 16 seeds that you're going to see. Plus, there was a few upsets in the conference tournaments, so we didn't actually get the best teams from these little conference tournaments. So this is a better year for 11 seeds. But yeah, I would only pick maybe one upset from 13, 14, 15, and I don't think there's going to be any 16. So.
Isn't there's some sort of promotion going on with Voodoo Ranger beer around 11 seeds, right? There's some way that like if an 11 seed wins and you're like registered, you can get like in on some money. I keep hearing it on the Brian Windhorst podcast. I should have been paying more attention to that. All right, let's go to final predictions here. We ran a little bit long because I argued with Williams about Acuff. So Jimmy Jam, you made it. You picked a bracket. Williams, you'll have your chance. You're going to circle back anyway, no matter what I ask you. So it's fine. Jimmy, you picked a bracket. Who do you got in the Final Four?
Well, I think the Bands is going to show why he's going to be the number 1 pick because they've got BYU against Michigan and in Indianapolis on April 4th. Also, UConn and Florida. You want me to give my championship game?
If you want to, go ahead.
I got BYU over Florida. BYU all the way, baby. And remember, I know nothing.
Hey, man, The Secret Lives of Mormon. New season just dropped. That one chick's going to be on The Bachelor. Big things for the state of Utah. Chris, what do you got?
I got Duke versus Illinois, and then I got Gonzaga, Michigan on the other side, and I got Duke, Michigan in the championship game. Michigan
Shout out to a classic matchup from back in the early 90s. A classic matchup back when college basketball was king, baby. When you knew players, they'd been there for a couple of years in a row. Man, those were the days. Williams, I'm just going to say your name. You double back to whatever you want to double back to, and then give us whatever you got left.
Yeah. First of all, this is the sentimental angle here, and just listen. I'm going to give you some stats on a game from the East, and then I'm going to give you the sentimental angle and see if I can sway you guys to pick this upset. Okay, South Florida versus Louisville. South Florida is very athletic, rim and three team. They like to run. The Bulls have 5 starters that all average over 11 points per game. Isaiah Nelson, a monster on the glass. Louisville is 1-8 in quad 1A games. They are 347th in overall rating away from home. Now, after those stats, the coach for South Florida, Brian Hodgson, this is my sentimental angle to this handicap. He grew up in Buffalo, New York. This is important. Sometimes there are things that cannot be explained in this world. When they occur, it makes you think someone or something is pulling strings from behind the scenes. Brian was adopted when he was 3 years old from foster care. He said his adopted dad taught him his discipline and everything he knows about basketball. His dad now battles dementia and hasn't been able to see his son coach in person since he's been a head coach in the college ranks. Brian has coached at Arkansas State and now at South Florida. Guess where the committee randomly placed this South Florida versus Louisville game? None other than Buffalo, New York, where his dad still lives. His dad will be in attendance to see his son coach for the first time in person. Throw out all the stats. The basketball gods have to be in South Florida's corner for this game. I am taking the 11 seed South Florida Bulls to upset the 6 seed Louisville Cardinals.
Do you guys know who the CBS reporter Steve Hartman is? That story that you just gave us right there, Williams, that's completely a Steve Hartman story that would air on like CBS Sunday morning, or they would run it on 60 Minutes, like at the end of the show when they're trying to make everybody tug at the heartstrings a little bit. Like that's totally Steve Hartman saying, and do you know where the committee decided to put the game? Buffalo, New York. You know what I mean? Like it just, that's great, Williams. I'm all for that game. I love it. Who do you got in the Final Four?
Yeah, so last year I thought the 1 seeds were awesome. There was only a 4% chance that the 1 seeds were all going to make the Final Four. Guess what? That happened. This year, I don't think the 1 seeds are as good as they were last year, but I think the gap between the rest of the field is, and this year there is a 9% chance. That doesn't sound like very, very much, but that's more than doubled last year. I think you're going to see all 4 1 seeds again get to the Final Four. And I have Arizona beating Duke in the final. If you go to the WAB stat, wins above bubble, one of the favorite stats to say out loud, the WAB. If you go to February 25th and go to the Selection Sunday the last 2 years, whoever was leading in WAB ended up winning the national championship. You go to the stats this year, February 25th, number 1 in WAB, the Arizona Wildcats.
WAB, not just a Cardi B song. You absolutely have to love it. Williams, I would be remiss if I let you go before I had you touch quickly on some of the biggest offseason moves that have occurred since we last talked to you. So what do you think is shaking the league up the most in all of the stuff we've seen happen so far?
Well, I mean, you know what I love the most is that the Chargers just like, and this is like 47th on the list of all the offseason moves. They went out and got a backup tight end, Charlie Kohler. They went out and got Alec Ingold, a fullback. They went out and got Keaton Mitchell, one of the best backup running backs in the league. They are leaning in to how much they're going to get. They're 2 stud tackles back this year. They are leaning in so much to the running game. I absolutely love this for Omari and Hampton. And I know I've already said this like 3 times. The Chargers are going to run all over everybody this year, and I think the under the radar free agents that they signed, they're gonna come out with like 3 different tight ends, motion left, option right. I mean, it's gonna be fun to watch the Chargers this year.
Yeah, I agree with that completely, Williams. One thing I'm interested in is why did the Dolphins sign Malik Willis if they're just going to trade all their good players? I really didn't understand that one. Jalen Waddle going to Denver. Love the mood for Denver. If Waddle could stay on the field, he's their number 1.
Yeah, that's a pretty interesting one for Denver. They had to do something because I think they know that the Chargers and the Chiefs are going to be better this year. But I feel bad for Malik Willis, man. I wish he would have went somewhere else, but because that's just a rebuild for that team. They're just gonna hope that he just like runs around everywhere. Like, are they going to trade Devin Achane? I mean, if if it comes to the trade deadline, why wouldn't you trade Achane to try to recoup your picks? There's nothing worse than having a stud running back. I mean, a super elite running back on a team that's going to win like 4 games next year. I mean, you got to get some value off of him.
I'm confused as why you guys keep talking about the Chargers every single year like they're going to do something other than what the Chargers do.
This is the year, Chris.
Year after year after year, and the Chargers always do what they're going to do.
Yep,
It's
Chris,
different,
listen, I'm
Chris.
absolutely with you. I'm absolutely with you, Chris, because I was about to wrap up by saying you got to love that I throw to our football handicapper, and I'm like, hey, tell me something that's shaking up the league. And he's like, well, let me give you the 47th most important move that's happened in the offseason. That's our guy, Josh Williams, for you. You absolutely have to love it, folks. He has his own script to football, and he sticks to it no matter what I say, and we absolutely love him for it. Williams, thank you so much for checking in for us here ahead of the NCAA tournament, and we will have you back here shortly to wrap up the tournament, or the NFL draft, I suppose, is we're like 30 some days away, right?
That's correct. I could have said Mike Evans to San Fran and Kyle Shanahan and some other key free agency ads. How about KC getting Kenneth Walker? That's pretty big. So yeah.
What fun would that be? What fun would that be? But you know what will be fun? Running the fast break with Jimmy Jamriska.
All right, everybody, it's that time on the More You Know podcast for the fast break. I'm going to throw a curveball because we're going to go straight to the King's Hardwood Hierarchy.
For the win.
All right, I'm so excited, Chris, because we have so many good NBA teams right now. I don't want to talk about all the negative. I want to talk about some positive. So, Chris, who is your king this week?
Oh, all right. We'll start with the one team that has secured a playoff spot. How about that? That's Oklahoma City. All right. They've won 9 in a row. They've solidified their lead on the West over San Antonio, who's still winning games as well. But yeah, you're the first team in the league to secure a playoff spot. You're the best.
And Rod, do you think Shea has finally secured the MVP, or are we still waiting on Wemby?
Sure. Shea secured the MVP. Fine, great, grand, wonderful. Oklahoma City excites me so much.
All right, I love that. Queen, Chris.
It's the Spurs. All right. As Wemby's healthy, they're playing elite basketball. They're the second best team in the league right now, with a possible way to beat the number 1 team. So yeah, they're the queen by far.
Spurs have won 3 in a row, lost a close one to the Nuggets, but then came back and beat the Clippers and Hornets after that. Who is your prince?
This is a shock, I think, not just to me, but to all of the NBA. All right. But you win 10 games in a row.
Okay, good.
You're making the hierarchy. All right. And that's Atlanta. All right. I don't know if it's this Magic City magic that they're using or what it is, but they've won 10 games in a row. Good job, Atlanta.
Rod, I was a little worried Chris wasn't going to take the bait there because I did want to talk about the Hawks and the Magic City promotion that was not done. Listen, they said, fine, we're not going to do the promotion. We're just going to win every game that we play now. 2 weeks ago, they were 27-31 out of the play-in games. Now they are in the 8th seed. Rod, are you a believer in Jalen Johnson and the Atlanta Hawks?
I think what we're seeing here is a little bit of a recurring theme that I've tried to bring up throughout the year, that old reliable isn't fun, but it kind of works, right? Experience kind of matters when we start getting down to these games for seeding, and it really matters in the playoffs. And we can all sit here and be like, oh man, wouldn't it be awesome to have the Charlotte Hornets in as the 8th seed because those guys are all so much fun, and Eric Collins screaming his head off as Charlotte's broadcaster? Guess what? They're all the way down in 10th because they don't have the war wounds and the scars that the Hawks and the Magic and some of these other teams have, and the Heat even. So they're starting to show their mettle here at the end of the year, winning the games that matter. Atlanta has, I think, 7 of those 10 wins are versus some of the worst teams in the league. So, you can only beat who's in front of you. So I don't want to get too ahead of myself, but Jalen Johnson's going to be an all-NBA player, one of the most underappreciated all-NBA guys in the league. He's 4th in the league in assists, and nobody would be able to say that. He averages about 25 points a game. He can grab rebounds. The Hawks have a lot of beginnings of a team, Jimmy, but I don't know how scared I am for them to have a long playoff run. I'll put it that way.
Well, you have Dyson Daniels, who really, is he a shooter? No, not really. But you have CJ McCollum coming in and playing very, very well right now. I like them, but yeah, like you said, Rod, I think they're going to be a feisty team. They might get a win, but I don't see them going far into the playoffs. Speaking of a team we will definitely not see going into the playoffs, Chris, who is your adjuster?
Well, again, these are teams that are fighting for playoff spots, and this is a team that is fighting to get out of the play-in game in the West. All right, they were right in the hunt with Houston, Denver, Minnesota, and they've lost 3 in a row now. 2 playoff caliber teams, but you need to be able to win some of these games. And I'm talking about the Phoenix Suns. All right, you lose 3 in a row, you're now looking at a play-in game instead of having the 6th seed.
Yeah, Chris, that's fine, but the Suns are a team that people thought were going to have the number 1 pick this year. So I really think they've outplayed their status. But then going back to what Rod said, is this just experience again, and the Suns are kind of coming back to the pack? Rod, you're on mute.
I get sad for teams sometimes when the hierarchy comes up when I feel like they're there just due to injuries, right? And like that's what's going on with Phoenix. Dillon Brooks being out, as crazy as that is to say, Dillon Brooks being out really hurts them, so they're still not at full bore there. But I kind of wondered if, Chris, maybe you're going to go with the Rockets here. This is a team that, other than Fred VanVleet, who's been out all year long, just can't seem to get it together, right? And Kevin Durant, who is not necessarily the best for team unity, came out the other day and just talked about it's my fault. Maybe I got to just pass more. And like, I sing the praises of Ime Udoka on the show an awful lot, Jimmy, but like, I think he's got to bite the bullet and just play Reed Shepherd here. Like, we all understand he's not going to be great on defense, but I think he helps your offense enough that it balances out, but he just won't play him.
I appreciate the transition because that's where I really wanted to go as well. Praise to Kevin Durant, kind of figuring out what his role is there. And yeah, listen, you need scoring. That's how you win the game, right? And if one of your guys can't play defense, you need the other people to pick it up a little bit. So yes, I think Reed Shepherd is the person you want to play. And I'm worried, Rod, and Chris, you can jump in after Rod as well, but I'm worried in that first round, he's going to revert to defense only and Shepherd's not going to see the floor.
Oh, I think we're absolutely going to be looking at Kevin Durant bringing the ball up. We're going to be looking at Şengün bringing the ball up at times. Heck, he's even at odds with Şengün now, right? And Şengün's like supposed to be one of his best players. So like, Ime's got a strong hand, but I don't know, man. It kind of seems like that Rockets thing is crumbling, right? It seems like the Lakers have a better shot at being a 3 or 4 seed right now than they do. It kind of seems like the Clippers actually maybe are more of a stable franchise right now. So I don't like what I see in Houston.
Chris?
Listen, when you look at the West, those teams that are in between seeds 3 and 7, there's only really one team in that group that I think can compete for a chance to go to the finals out of the West, and that's Denver. I don't believe in LA to get past the Spurs or the Thunder. I don't believe in Houston to do that. Minnesota, no, they're close, but no, and definitely not Phoenix. So I don't know. Like, that's what's tough about the West right now. I don't see hardly anybody being able to get past Oklahoma City or San Antonio.
Yeah, shout out to T-Wolves. The only good thing about coming off a couple bad losses, got a win in there, but is playing the Jazz, so they're fine right now. Speaking about domination, your Celtics dominated tonight, Rod. Let's do a quick Jason Tatum check-in. How you feeling?
Pretty good, pretty good. Like, I kept trying to stress when we would talk about his potential return that the Celtics were going to be smart about it, right? We weren't going to come back and expect Jason Tatum to have 32% usage rate, right? And be the focal point of the offense. And if he doesn't score 28 points, we're in trouble. That's not what the Celtics are looking for him to do. So he's coming in, he's playing good, positive basketball. He's helping rebound, which is something that the Celtics, they really need because we can't get to the free throw line. So we need a lot of extra possessions to be able to have a good offense. So Tatum helps with that. He makes the right pass. He's pretty good on defense, which is another thing. The Celtics are a top 5 defense, and Tatum has shown enough mobility to be able to still stand up on defense. So I think that he's going to round into being a better shooter by the time the playoff and important games come, Jimmy. So I continue to be bullish on my Celtics, but everybody would expect me to say that anyway.
Well, of course. And, they beat the Warriors by 21 points. And at this point, do you even want Steph Curry coming back? Because you really don't want to be in that 8, 9, 10 because you're not going to go anywhere really in the playoffs. Speaking of stars who may not come back, Giannis is in the news again because he's out with a calf strain, out for a week. But it seems like, Chris, the Bucks don't want him to come back at all. Now, is this tanking or is this making sure you can trade a healthy Giannis in the offseason?
I don't think Milwaukee is in a position that they could go on a big enough losing streak to get to the bottom 4, are they? I don't think they could do that. I do think if Milwaukee is hoping to get something done, keep Giannis in town because Milwaukee, as a small market team, needs that superstar and try to do something better next year and keep him around, then they want him as healthy as possible.
Chris,
That
right
would
now,
be my
Go ahead.
hope. But
Chris,
Giannis
right now-
wants to play.
Sorry about that, Chris. Right now, the Bucks are tied with the Bulls for 11th at 28 and 40. So there's only 3 teams below them right now. They could easily drop out of the playoff race and maybe secure that number 9 pick if depending on they get the worst of their pick, and I believe the Pelicans. Or
I was going to say I hate to be
the
a stickler
Hawks.
here, but I don't think they get their own pick. I think it doesn't
They
matter
don't.
it doesn't matter what their record is to them, right? They're more worried about what New Orleans is going to do.
Yeah, but they could get their own pick if it's the worst of.
I guess you're right. But listen, mark me down for this. I like a lot of what Chris was ending with there. Put me in the camp of Giannis isn't going anywhere. All right. Put me in the camp of Giannis isn't going anywhere. Milwaukee has shown zero interest in wanting to trade this guy. And Giannis himself has been completely wishy-washy. So count me in the camp of they're going to figure something out and Giannis is going to be back on the Bucks next year.
We have to do something about this situation. The momentum is dying.
I don't understand no more distractions.
But I do believe we should all follow one path in life.
Hubris and ego and pride. Sorry, all that was a complete lie. All right, Rod Damnation. My Rod Damnation is going to come a little bit out of left field this week. And my Rod Damnation is for the owner of the New York Knicks. Someone who has received scorn in the past for a lot of his foolish actions. He's been a little quiet for the last year and a half and allowed his basketball operations team to run basketball. And the Knicks have shown a little bit of success because of it. But meanwhile, James Dolan has still been up to his old tricks behind the scene. He has this incredible axe to grind against Adam Silver and the league, and he is willing to try to gum up the works whenever he gets the chance. So the good people of Seattle and the good people of Las Vegas have been told, hey, there's a very good chance you're probably going to get an expansion team sometime soon. Everybody's down for it. We have more good players across the league than we've ever had before. We have the NBA G League, which is a good farm system. We can support 2 more teams in the NBA. There's 32 teams in the NFL. Why not 32 teams in the NBA, right? Oh, except James Dolan. James Dolan doesn't want expansion. And it seems as if he doesn't want expansion for no reason other than A, greed, because he doesn't want to give up his slice of the media pie, and B, he just doesn't want to do it because Adam Silver and the rest of the league wants it. And so he's grumbling behind the scenes and making all his James Dolan moves. And it seems as if a couple of owners, Matt Ishbia, I'm talking to you, and a few others are starting to join James Dolan, and this NBA expansion is going to be put down. And that bums me out because the people of Seattle absolutely deserve a team. And if you are not going to do relocation, which Adam Silver has said he is not wanting to do, meaning sorry, Memphis, but if they're not going to take the team out of your city and put them back in Seattle, we need expansion. So James Dolan, Rod Damnation for you, trying to gum up the works again.
And that's the Rod Damnation of the week. Yeah, when you hear expansion, you get really excited. But then it's all this behind the scenes politicking that has to happen apparently with the rich people all the time. But also, if to, I don't know, make Dolan say yes, maybe they have to raise the entry fee to 7-8 billion. And then do people in Seattle have that? Vegas, I think, is fine. They have a ton of investors, but what I've heard is Seattle may not have that. And can you believe Seattle may be getting screwed over again? But I do want to real quick before we head out to the Wins League. Basically, it comes down to Minnesota, New Orleans, and Memphis. One of those three teams would have to move to the East just to even out the divisions. I heard that Minnesota might be the team that moves over because of the NFL divisions that they have, where then you'd kind of have that like North Division. I kind of like that. I'm not going to lie. I think that's kind of cool having Milwaukee, Chicago, Detroit, and Minnesota in the same division in both leagues. I don't know. What are your thoughts, Rod?
I say move Memphis over. Minnesota has already proven that they can hang with some of the Titans of the West. Memphis has a little bit trouble. Memphis also, their start times are just kind of weird based on their time zone. They're one of the few
Central.
teams in the Western Conference that goes by a Central or an Eastern time. So I think it should be Memphis or New Orleans. Personally, I think Minnesota. You're right that would be cool to harken off football, which is the most popular thing in America, but I think it should be Memphis and New Orleans on a competitive balance.
Chris?
My favorite team is a team that plays in the NFC East and is further west than any of the teams that you have mentioned.
Sure.
So I don't know if it matters.
I don't think Chris, like, it doesn't fucking matter. I don't care. Speaking of what not mattering, it doesn't really matter that I had won all of the Wins Leagues for years and years. It doesn't matter that you had to bring in two other people who we've not heard from since that draft, just for the record. And it doesn't matter that I'm still winning the Wins League because I am me. Thank you very much. 220 wins for Jim. Rod, very, very close at 219. Wu-Tang at 213. Derek at 194 and Chris at 181. The reigning defending is back on top where he belongs. And with that, you've been listening to the Fast Break. Let's get to the Yeah We Know podcast.
How convenient for you, Jimmy.
Rod, the rocket has been strapped on and lit. FEMI is the next gigantic superstar after what we saw him do to Brock Lesnar.
Listen, you, as we have stated many times, have seen a little more wrestling than me. So maybe you have a recollection of Brock Lesnar getting somebody over, right? I understand that he's lost to Cody and I understand that he's lost to Roman, but these are two absolutely huge superstars for him to lose to. I don't recall Brock ever getting somebody over the way he got FEMI over. Not only did Brock go up and then get put down by FEMI, but FEMI then stood over Brock Lesnar and put his foot on his chest. All right. Brock Lesnar looked like a jobber out there, and I have never seen that, and it blew me away. I commented to my buddy Dax, who is just recently coming into the WWE. We're getting our tentacles into him, Jimmy. And I was like, holy shit, Dax, the WWE doesn't surprise me much anymore, but I've never seen him do Brock Lesnar like that. So I was floored.
Chris?
Yeah, I'd never seen that before either, Rod. At all.
So
it took Roman a tractor and a broken ring and debris to keep him down. So to see that was it was phenomenal and awesome. And anybody who's not an OBA FEMI fan now is crazy.
You see a lot of wrestling content on TikTok and YouTube, which, by the way, follow us for sure. And I'm not saying we're not going to do this one day, but you see a lot of them watching a clip and then going crazy, even though they probably already watched it and they know what's going on. That was kind of me. I went back and I said, what? Lesnar went up terrific for that. The power bomb looked great. And then Lesnar, you can hear him say, put your foot on me. I love that about him because he's like, that's the moment. Put it on now. Now, maybe it was scripted and he just reminded him to do it. Either way, the foot on there, pointing to the sign, chef's kiss, to quote Rod. Loved it. And I think that's going to open up either night one or night two of WrestleMania, and it's going to bring the house down.
Oh yeah, I mean we're definitely getting Brock out early, right? We're
Oh,
not
yeah.
going to make Brock. We're not going to make Brock wait around if he's not going to be the main event. He's not going to be the main event, so we're definitely getting that out of the way early. And it's also probably not going to be a huge long match, so it's going to be one of those where we're going to get 7 minutes maybe. It is going to be 7 minutes I have it, and then somebody's going to get absolutely wasted, and it's going to be Brock Lesnar.
Of course. So there's a lot of big stories that came out of Friday and Monday, and I just want to know. We hear a lot of people on podcasts again defending things that aren't right, that many people look at and say, how can anyone feel that way? So, Chris, how can you defend Drew McIntyre and anything he does? Please. He quit again.
Yeah. So your boy Jey Uso, Ooses, he quit, came back. He's still your hero.
Jey Uso, because remember, Rod, if you'll remember, I've got all the Jey Uso gear. I've yeeted so many times on this show. I have always said I believe in Jey Uso. I've been the number one Jey Uso fan on the show, right, Rod?
Oh, absolutely. You are the biggest Jey Uso supporter. You named your new dog that runs around in the background every once in a while. His name is Yeet, I believe, actually, right?
Yes. So, of course, Chris, what are you talking about? What are you talking about?
I saw you yeet at the Royal Rumble. Don't lie.
Everybody yeeted at the Royal Rumble. And no, you didn't.
I didn't.
Because that was way too far for you to see. Way too far.
The whataboutism is just absolutely great here, isn't it? Jimmy's just giving us a huge glass of whataboutism here, isn't he?
It's amazing, isn't it? What about this? What about that? What about Drew McIntyre quitting for about an hour and a half and coming back? And
do you really blame Drew at that point? I mean, this is Nick Aldis's show. If the dude quits, why are you letting him hang around the stadium? Boot him out. I've had people quit on me before. You boot them out. You take their keys. You take their pass. They can't get back on site. That's on Nick Aldis and WWE security, not Drew.
Well,
Nick Aldis is smart. I'm not stepping in front of that chiseled out of stone, angry Drew McIntyre. Are you kidding me? Guy's a freaking unhinged lunatic. Nobody in their right mind should step in front of that man right now. He's quitting. He's coming back in the ring. He's breaking up matches, Chris, the thing that you say you hate more than anything else in the WWE. And now your sainted Scottish Warrior is basically the number one attributor of Smaz endings.
He's just trying to get what belongs to him back. That's all he's trying to do.
Well, I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon because this week he's going to go against Jacob Fatu in a match that I think is just guaranteed to end in a schmaz again, and they're going to rematch at WrestleMania. The Nick Aldis thing, I really want to see those two wrestle. It'd be really cool for it to be at WrestleMania, but Jacob Fatu has to be in that spot, Rod.
Yeah, and I mean, we got to give our guy Aldis a little bit of time to round into it. I mean, maybe he's been working a little bit behind the scenes because they knew that they were moving to this, but I'm with you. I've never wanted to see a general manager go at it with somebody more, right? Like Pierce is really, really good at getting mad at his guys, but like it doesn't get to that level of where like you really want to see him face off. But like Aldis has done a really, really good job of telling this story where it's like the only resolution is him getting his hands on Drew McIntyre.
Well, and also Aldis was a world champion like 2 years ago, and Adam Pearce has been out for a little while. So he's kind of more ready to come in. And, hey, he can bring Mickie James with him. That'd be great. I would love that.
WWE Hall of Famer.
Let's go. We also found out on Friday that WWE has decided not to turn Cody Rhodes heel, but to turn Drew McIntyre. See? I think heel. I think Drew McIntyre. Because that's what it is. Turn Randy Orton heel. But, Rod, the fans ain't buying it. How are they going to get the fans to turn on Orton?
Well, the way that you try to get the fans to turn when they don't want to is you go blood and you have the guy go above and beyond the Call of Duty, kind of like they did with Randy, right? So they did what they had to do on Friday Night SmackDown, right? Like they pulled out the stair move, right? Nobody's pulled that one in a little bit while. It looks really, really great, but forget about the fact that it's caved in, you know what I mean? And Cody's head was completely protected and the chair didn't even get him, but it looked really, really cool. So I, like you though, Jimmy, Randy's at that point in his career where it's awfully, awfully tough for him to be hated. You know what I mean? Like he's just sainted. He's been around for too long, right? He's been basically a humor guy, for like a good year and a half now, right? Like Randy's main purpose is to get laughs than anything else. So it It seemed like a bit of an abrupt turn. And to me, it's just more of we got to protect Cody. We got to keep selling merch to the little kids because Cody's the number one baby face. And it bums me out that they're not going to turn Cody, because I, with you, think that was the right move.
Yeah, real quick shout out to Champy260Q calling Arizona Wildcats winning it all. I missed that a little earlier. Thanks for watching, listening, and commenting. Chris, you are a guy who loves baby faces, loves heels, and loves people who play both at the same time. Are you buying this Randy Orton heel turn?
Yes, this is the only way I'm going to believe that they may give him an opportunity to win this belt if he does this. But I think the lackluster crowd reaction is also partly like, hey, we kind of want Randy to beat Cody. We don't want to see Cody with the belt for a while. So I think that has something to do with the reaction as well. But I prefer this Randy Orton compared to what he has been, because like I've said before, I've been waiting for the legend killer. Let this be what I get now. Let me see him get the belt. I'll be happy then.
I'm sure you would be happy, because Drew McIntyre would probably come in and face Randy Orton and get beat by Randy Orton then. So that's all that matters, right?
Jimmy, do you see 15 though for Randy at WrestleMania? Do you see that?
I don't know if they're going to change both belts, and I'm assuming Roman's going to win. I haven't nailed that down yet, because they could easily have Punk win that.
You think Roman's going to win, huh?
I think
I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure.
Yeah, that's
about
why
Roman
I'm thinking back and forth. I'm talking to myself on that one. It just makes so much sense to have Orton beat Rhodes here, which means that Rhodes might win as well. Again, what are you going to do the next night? What's going to happen? Orton winning does open up some more challengers. Rhodes winning, is that Fatu again? Is that McIntyre again? We don't want to see that. We want to see something new.
See, and I also look at it this way, Jimmy. Like, I think you kind of sort of remake Randy if you give him 15, right? Like, that's a complete new storyline that we get to start talking about with Randy Orton, right? Not just that he's been around for a long time, not that he's on the climb. Like, oh my God, this guy just hit number 15. You know what I mean? Right? We just made a big deal about John Cena, breaking the record of Ric Flair. Now Randy Orton's at 15, and then we could start working towards a retirement angle story with him. And you said it yourself, Randy in a program with 4 to 5 people I can think of right now off the top of my head, I'm down for. Cody, can't think of anybody I'm down for Cody to be in a program with.
Yeah, I think we just need something.
Yeah, they're teasing Sami Zayn. That's what they're going to do with Cody next, or before WrestleMania, maybe.
And you know what? That's fine if it's a non-world championship, feud. But also, they want Sami Zayn to win the world championship at some point, I'm assuming. So we'll have to see what happens there.
Sammy Randy? That's what I mean. See, like you said, Jimmy, Randy with the belt opens up a lot of cool things. Sammy Randy, that's a hell of a match right there.
Couple quick things we'll talk. AJ Lee and Bailey had another warm-up match for AJ Lee, essentially. There was some hesitation here and there. It was fine. Rod hated it. Chris didn't care. Anything else but for AJ and Bailey?
I didn't hate it. I thought it was an incredible match for Bailey. This is why you see that Bailey is the locker room leader. This is why you see that Bailey has, what do they call that? Lodestone? Is that what they call that thing now, Jimmy? Or like school that she's trying to get?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Sorry. I was like, is that a medical condition?
No. Like her school that she's trying to get started, right? She carried AJ Lee through that match, right?
Yes.
AJ Lee
she was supposed to, yes.
Yeah. AJ Lee doesn't get to look like the champion if Bailey isn't carrying her through that match. I continue to not be impressed with AJ Lee. But I did like Becky coming out and beating the crap out of her. I love Angry Becky.
Chris, do you like Angry Becky?
I don't like AJ Lee or her husband Phil.
Wow. Ouch. Yeah, so, I guess we can talk about that now too. Oh, sorry, Chris. Go ahead. I apologize.
No, I was just gonna say she's a bad wrestler. I don't like her, and I'm happy she got beat up by Becky after the fact too.
So Roman Reigns and CM Punk had another one of their go home WrestleMania promos a month before WrestleMania. I did love the Samoa Joe shout out. I'm not going to lie. I thought that was clever. I did enjoy that. Other than that, it was a good promo, but again, Rod, we have a month left.
Yeah, I think that it's hard for Roman, as cool and as everything that Roman is, it's hard to do a verbal battle with Phil. It just is, you know what I mean? Like Phil's going to come out on top because Phil will say anything. And
Yes.
what this has done for me, Jimmy, and like I find myself being a little more Chris, voice of the fan here on this, but I came around on Phil so much, and now I'm bummed out that like every week upon week now I just go back to hating him, right? I'm calling him Phil again. Like I stopped calling him Phil, but I'm going back to calling him Phil because like I get that you need to gin up some sort of thing with the match, but like I'm just bummed out at all the personal shots and stupid preening and just all of the just he's coming across like a petulant asshole. And like I felt like we had gotten away from that a little bit.
Well, but that's also who he is, in his promos, and we have to kind of we've got to have something that we want to see them fight, and the WWE wants to go more than, hey, we haven't seen this, we want to see this happen. They have their history, but I think it is a little too much right now. So hopefully Roman and Punk aren't going to do this every week, Chris, until WrestleMania.
I mean, I'll watch it. I know there's going to be a couple times where Roman gets out of Phil anyway. So, and this is legitimately one of the first times I'll be rooting for Roman in a match. So I'm excited, kind of.
Another match that I think we finally have ended the Maxine Dupree push. Natty Neidhart took care of her in the middle of the ring submission. Maxine did a great job of she tried her best, but I think this is kind of where she needs to be, just and not even getting this much, but kind of just being an opponent for people to squash. Rod.
Oh yeah, she needs to go back into the worlds of the B-Fabs and the Meechins and Lyra Valkyrias and Candice LeRae's and people who just get put out there to Kairi Sane, unfortunately, right? People who just get put out there to be absolutely squashed. And Chelsea Green, again, unfortunately, right? People who just get put out there to lose. That's definitely where she needs to live.
Chelsea Green should be main eventing a show. Speaking of main eventing, we did see that the main event of night one is Cody and Randy. Main event of night two is CM Punk and Roman Reigns. It is cool that CM Punk does get to main event night two with Roman Reigns, so that is pretty cool. Penta and Dragon Lee. I love when you can. So Dragon Lee in AAA is not the Dragon Lee in WWE. This was more of Dragon Lee in AAA because they just kind of let him out and let him go do things. I thought it was great. I love Penta. Dragon Lee's really good as well. Penta's an amazing Intercontinental Champion, Chris.
I have nothing but great things to say about what Penta's able to do and that match in general. I loved it. All right. From the moment that those big, heavy looking wooden wings on his back,
yeah,
everything, like they put on a hell of a show. All right. And if Penta puts on that type of effort every week while he's defending this, then yeah, all right, keep the belt on him because that's what we as wrestling fans want. We want to see someone putting stuff on the line and putting on a show. That's what Penta does.
Rod.
Gonna shout out Gunther here because Gunther basically made Dragon Lee, right? Gunther doing what he did and then talking down AJ Styles and then Dragon Lee popping out and just beating down Gunther when the crowd was absolutely ape shit angry at Gunther and was like, hey, all right, cool. Dragon Lee's sticking up for us. I think that helped make him a little bit. I think that helped make some pops. I think that helped make people care about him a little bit. And then you bring him out in a match like this, as you said, Jimmy, with a guy like Penta, who was just basically universally beloved, right? Like everybody loves Penta. There's nobody that's anti-Penta. So you get Dragon Lee out there who's starting to pop. They put on a hell of a match. Let's go, man. These luchadors are coming for people's lunch, man. These guys can put on an entertaining match. Some of these other WWE superstars need to get in line.
I love it. Now, who is Penta gonna face at WrestleMania? Again, we need to figure that out. One person we mentioned that they've had a great match with in the past, Chelsea Green. Chelsea Green and Penta would be an amazing match. Look at Lucha Underground. Type those names in. They had a terrific matchup there. I doubt it would be Chelsea Green. Finally, Rod, your girl Liv Morgan revealed she orchestrated Finn Balor's removal. Finn Balor is overrated, old, past his prime, can't do anything. Dom is the real hero of the Judgment Day, even though he wasn't there because he got a really bad concussion, apparently, in AAA. Do you like where this is going, Rod? Do you think this is going to ultimately be Finn Balor going over on Dom, or is the Judgment Day going to go over on him again and kind of push him down even more?
Unfortunately, probably the latter, based on the evidence we have from the WWE vis-a-vis the Prince recently. I'd love nothing more than to see him give old Dom Mysterio yet another wake-up call, because Dom continues to be entirely too big for his britches. I think it's sort of unfortunate that all they could figure out to do with Liv is kind of shoehorn her into I orchestrated Finn Balor getting kicked out of the Judgment Day. I think that's a bit unfortunate. And the other thing that I like to point out is I think you kind of got to be careful using you're old, you're over the hill, you're washed up, when quite a few of your top level superstars fit that bill as well. You know what I mean? So like, I think it's kind of, you got to be careful when you start putting that out into the zeitgeist, because your night 2 WWE champion is a hell of a lot closer to 50 than he is to 35.
Well, yeah, and whenever you use age or ageism as an angle in any form of entertainment, it really kind of takes the audience out of, the suspension of disbelief. Right, old man Chris?
Perfect.
It's a generational thing. All right. You have somebody that's probably closer to Gen X versus somebody who's talking that's a millennial. All right. That's the generation thing. People are always going to hate generations. All right. The greatest and silent generation hated the boomers. The boomers didn't like us Gen Xers. And we don't like the Gen Zers or the alphas. So like that's just the way it goes.
All right. Well, next week we will be back on the Morgan podcast talking. What are we going to be talking about next week, Rod?
You know what we should be talking about? Justice for Gunther and Justice for LA Knight, 2 absolutely huge WWE superstars who seem to have no dance floor available to them for WrestleMania right now.
Well, it does take 2 to tango, so why not, right?
Hey, those 2 battling it out. Let's go.
And with that, you've been listening to the Morgan podcast. Yeah, we know. The fast break, little college basketball. Chris, take us home.
Like, comment, and subscribe. Goodbye, Internet.
Shout out Danhausen, dressing up as Cold Steve. Just chef's kiss. Dressing up as Cold Steve Austin. Great stuff.
I did not mention Danhausen. That was dumb.
Yeah, well, you know what's going to happen to you, Jimmy.
I will be